Let me ask you a question. Do you know what is the fastest pitch ever recorded in a major league game? Is it a 100 miles per hour, B 105 miles per hour, C 110 miles per hour, or D 115 miles per hour? Think about it and leave your answer in the comments below. I will reveal the correct answer at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Hello, and welcome to this video on the evolution of baseball techniques, from the past to the present. Baseball is one of the oldest and most popular sports in the world, but it has changed a lot over the years. How did the game go from using sturgeon eyes and lemon peels to today's modern balls and bats? How did the rules and strategies of pitching, hitting, and fielding evolve over time? And what are some of the most significant innovations and milestones in the history of baseball? In this video, we will explore these questions and more, as we trace the development of baseball techniques from the 19th century to the present day. Let's get started. The origins of baseball are not very clear, but some historians believe that it evolved from various bat and ball games that were played in England and America in the 18th and early 19th centuries. The first recorded game of baseball in America was played in 1846, between two amateur teams in Hoboken, New Jersey. The game was based on the rules of the Knickerbocker Club, a social club in New York that is considered to be the first organized baseball club in the world. The Knickerbocker rules establish some of the basic features of baseball, such as the diamond-shaped infield, the three-out system, and the count of balls and strikes. However, the game was still very different from today's baseball in many ways. For example, the balls used in the early days of baseball were handmade by cobblers from the rubber remnants of old shoes, or from sturgeon eyes, which were fish bladders filled with air. The balls were wrapped in yarn and leather, and tied with 4 lines of stitching, giving them a lemon peel shape. These balls were smaller, lighter, darker, and softer than today's balls, and they were also much livelier, meaning that they could be hit further and bounce higher. This resulted in high-scoring games, where runners could also be thrown out by getting hit directly with the ball by a fielder, a practice known as soaking or plugging. The bats used in the early days of baseball were also different from today's bats. They were usually made of wood, but there was no standard size, shape, or weight. Some bats were flat, some were round, some were long, some were short, some were heavy, some were light. Players could use any kind of bat they wanted, as long as it was not more than 2.5 inches in diameter at the thickest part. Some players even used axes or wagon tongues as bats. The rules and strategies of pitching, hitting, and fielding were also different in the early days of baseball. Pitchers were not allowed to throw the ball overhand, but only underhand or sidearm. They also had to deliver the ball as close as possible to the batter's preference, and the batter could request a high or low pitch. The pitcher's main role was not to strike out the batter, but to start the action by putting the ball in play. The batter, on the other hand, had to hit the ball fair, and could not foul off pitches to wait for a better one. The batter also had to run to first base on any hit, even if it was caught on the fly by a fielder, unless there were already 2 outs. The fielders did not wear gloves, but used their bare hands to catch and throw the ball. They also had to deal with uneven and rough grounds, and sometimes with obstacles such as trees, rocks, or fences. The popularity of baseball grew rapidly in the second half of the 19th century, and the game became more organized and standardized. The first professional baseball team was formed in 1869, the Cincinnati Red Stockings, who went on to play an undefeated season of 57 games. The first professional baseball league was established in 1871, the National Association of Professional Baseball Players, which later gave way to the National League in 1876, and the American League in 1901. These leagues introduced some changes and innovations to the game, such as the use of schedules, standings, championships, umpires, and salaries. The balls used in professional baseball also became more regulated and consistent. In 1872, the National Association adopted a standard ball weight of 5.5 to 6 ounces, and a standard ball circumference of 9 to 9.25 inches. In 1876, the National League adopted a standard ball cover of 2 pieces of white leather, sewn together with 108 stitches, giving the ball its familiar figure-8 shape. In 1880, the National League also adopted a standard ball core of a rubber or cork center, wrapped in wool yarn, which made the ball harder and less lively. These changes reduced the scoring and increased the importance of defense. The bats used in professional baseball also became more regulated and consistent. In 1869, the National Association adopted a standard bat length of 42 inches, and a standard bat diameter of 2.5 inches. In 1893, the National League adopted a standard bat weight of 33 to 43 ounces. The bats were still made of wood, but mostly of ash, which was strong and flexible. Some players also experimented with different bat shapes, such as the bottle bat, the mushroom bat, or the wagon tongue bat. The rules and strategies of pitching, hitting, and fielding also changed and evolved in professional baseball. Pitchers were allowed to throw the ball overhand in 1884, which gave them more speed and variety. They also developed different types of pitches, such as the curveball, the fastball, the changeup, and the slider. They also used various substances, such as spit, tar, or sandpaper, to alter the ball's movement and deceive the batter, a practice known as doctoring the ball. The pitcher's role became more dominant and challenging, as they had to face more skilled and powerful hitters. The batter, on the other hand, had to adapt to the faster and trickier pitches, and to the foul strike rule, which was introduced in 1901 in the American League and in 1903 in the National League. The foul strike rule counted foul balls as strikes, except for the third strike, which made the batter more aggressive and less selective. The batter also developed different techniques, such as bunting, slugging, or choking up, to increase their chances of getting a hit. The fielders also improved their skills and equipment, as they started to wear gloves, mitts, and masks to protect their hands and faces. They also learned to position themselves better, to communicate with each other, and to execute double plays and relay throws. The 20th century and beyond saw the emergence of the modern era of baseball, which was marked by some of the most significant innovations and milestones in the history of the game. Some of these include the rise of the home run and the power hitter, led by Babe Ruth, who revolutionized the game with his unprecedented slugging ability. Ruth hit 714 home runs in his career, more than any other player until Hank Aaron surpassed him in 1974. Ruth also popularized the use of the 34-inch, 40-ounce bat, which became the standard for most hitters. Ruth's influence inspired many other power hitters, such as Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Foxx, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, and Albert Pujols, who have all hit over 500 home runs in their careers. The development of the breaking ball and the specialty pitcher, led by Walter Johnson, who was one of the first pitchers to master the fastball and the curveball. Johnson won 417 games in his career, more than any other pitcher except Cy Young, who won 511. Johnson also struck out 3,508 batters, more than any other pitcher until Nolan Ryan surpassed him in 1983. Johnson's influence inspired many other pitchers, such as Christy Mathewson, Grover Cleveland Alexander, Lefty Grove, Bob Feller, Sandy Koufax, Tom Seaver, Steve Carlton, Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson, and Pedro Martinez, who have all won over 300 games or struck out over 3,000 batters in their careers. The modern era also saw the emergence of the relief pitcher, the closer, and the save, as specialized roles for pitchers who could finish the game or protect a lead. The integration of baseball and the expansion of the league, led by Jackie Robinson, who broke the color barrier in 1947, when he became the first African-American player to play in the major leagues. Robinson faced racism and discrimination, but he also proved his talent and courage, as he won the Rookie of the Year award, the MVP award, and 6 World Series titles with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Robinson's influence.